Now, of these, the expertise of these individuals, well, Gavin Griffith, he's a former Solicitor General from Australia. His specialty was indispensable third party. Okay, that's a rule in jurisprudence at the International Court. Professor Greenwood, his area of expertise was the law of occupation and the laws of war. And Professor Crawford, his expertise is state sovereignty and continuity. Yeah, that's his area. Have you guys read some of Crawford's stuff? Okay. So yeah, that's the group that was put together for this particular case. And that's me over there representing the Hawaiian Kingdom on the record. Okay. Now, when the case got through, because basically what was ruled on was the Hawaiian government prevailed. Because Lance Larson could not proceed to go after the Hawaiian government for liability for not protecting him without the United States there in the proceedings to answer to the violation of his rights during the trial. So they had to determine whether or not the United States violated its rights and what rights were violated before they can attribute the Hawaiian government to allowing those violations to have taken place. And that's what is called the indispensable third party rule, okay? Two other cases at the International Court of Justice that dealt with the indispensable third party rule was monetary gold, which was Italy versus the United States, Great Britain, and France. And then East Timor. This was Portugal versus Australia. The indispensable third party for the monetary gold case was Albania, who refused to participate in the proceedings. So Italy could not proceed against the United States, Great Britain, and France. And East Timor, the indispensable third party was Indonesia. They didn't want to participate. So Portugal could not proceed against Australia, okay, on a treaty violation. Those were the two cases. Hawaii, the Lance Larson versus Hawaiian Kingdom, has now become the third precedent case for indispensable third party. It was actually cited in the South China Sea arbitration between Philippines and China. You guys heard about the South China Sea, the buildup of the islands? Okay, so actually the Larson case was cited there as a precedent case, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, when we're on the last day of the hearing in the Netherlands, this was in December of 2000, when you saw that video, we were called by an ambassador from Rwanda. His name is Dr. Biozagawa. And he was at the court, at the International Court of Justice, listening to a judgment in a case of Congo versus Belgium, because Belgium issued an international arrest warrant for the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Congo for alleged genocide. And the court had to determine whether or not that arrest warrant had any effect beyond Belgian territory. It's like a domestic law, right? And Belgium was trying to justify it has effect because of human rights, right? Genocide, that was the argument. Well, on Friday, which was the day, our second day of the hearing, the tribunal asked if we could go into recess, so we all walked across the hall to attend the reading of the decision, which basically Belgium lost. An arrest warrant has no effect beyond Belgian territory. And if the Congo minister comes into Belgian territory, he has diplomatic immunity. They could only get him after he serves his term, right? If he comes into Belgian territory. But while we were there, that place was filled with ambassadors who were there to listen. And one of the ambassadors that were there and saw us and realized Hawaii's at the Permanent Court of Arbitration, like, wait a minute, I thought Hawaii was part of the United States. He began to inquire. And this guy is from Rwanda. He's the Rwandan ambassador. Folks know what happened in Rwanda, right? Genocide. Tutsis and Hutus, okay? This guy was a Tutsi survivor, Dr. Biozagawa. And he was the ambassador assigned to Belgium. Okay? So he was at the hearing. And when he heard about Hawaii, he was able to access all the records, and he sent it through channels to his government in Rwanda. So he calls us on Monday, the following Monday, and he says he had important information to tell us if we could meet him in Brussels. So myself and my legal team caught the train, went to Brussels, were picked up by a motorcade, about 3 cars, taken to a meeting he was having with members of the African Union. Back then they were called the Organization of African States before the name was changed to the African Union. And he said, We're escorted by his assistant into the meeting that he was having with other ambassadors. He introduced us to everyone. And he excused himself from the meeting and said, please follow me. So we followed him, went across the street to this little cafe. And this cafe looked to be closed. What I found out later was Rwanda had bought it out for 2 hours, so nobody's in there. So he knocks on the door. The Belgian manager opens the door, greets the ambassador. We go in, he closes the door, locks it, turns the light on, and pulls the shades down. And then we have coffee ready for us. So I'm sitting in front of the ambassador. Sort of sounds like Mission Impossible, yo. It's a true story. It's in one of my larger articles. So I'm sitting in front of the ambassador, and he tells me that his government has reviewed all the pleadings and the records of the case. He said it is clear Hawaii is occupied, and this cannot be tolerated. He said Rwanda understands what happens when international law is violated, but the international community does not step in until it's too late, and he's making direct reference to the genocide. And that was during President Clinton's administration. Okay. So then he tells me that he has been authorized by the president through the Minister of Foreign Affairs to him as the ambassador to propose to the Hawaiian government that Rwanda is prepared to report to the United Nations General Assembly, put it on the agenda, Hawaii's occupation, and bring compliance to the Hague and Geneva Conventions. Now I'm sitting there hearing this, and I'm like, inside I'm going, wow. But, outside, I gotta have a poker face, right? Because I'm just thinking, we're gonna go from one mountain to another mountain. So I said, Your Excellency, I need to speak to my legal team. So sat down, we talked, I sat back down in front of the ambassador, and I told him, please convey to your president our sincere gratitude, but we cannot accept this offer at this time. Our people back home have no clue of Hawaii's status. They've been denationalized. We need to go home and begin re-education. We have to address over 100 years of brainwashing. And he thanked me. I said, no, thank you, but our work is cut out for us. That very next month, this was January of 2001, that's when I entered the University of Hawaii Political Science Department. I'm going to get my master's degree specializing in international relations. That's what Umi and I first hooked up. Then I proceeded to get my PhD specializing in public law and international relations, and my doctoral research is going to be on Hawaii's occupation. And basically I have a book now called Ua Maukea. You guys use the book?
And the high school we do.
Okay. So that book is the history book at Kamehameha schools now, and that's actually a watered down version of my doctoral dissertation. It's been sanitized for human consumption. It's not so dense with law, legal theory and all that. And it covers Hawaii's history from the 18th century under Kamehameha all the way till today. So we use that book as well in my classes because I teach at UH as well. So our job is to change. We have to change what's going on. You know what? I just realized this isn't supposed to be there. I had another, oops. Oh, shoot. It didn't come through. Sorry.
So I hope you're formulating some questions in your minds while we go through this.
Who's delete on this?
Is that backspace?
How do you?
Oh, you have to enable editing if you want to delete something. Up there at the top, if you want to do something to your document. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a Mac, so I don't know PCs. I'm a bit ambidextrous, but not that good. Okay, so I can just highlight and delete. Oh, perfect. Okay, let me move this. Okay. I'm sorry. So here we go. more time.